YouTube, my name's Sean Collins and welcome back to The Outsiders, and for the purpose of this video I'm calling it In My Humble Opinion, because I'm going to be picking up where Andrew and Jason are still going at it. Actually, I've had to peel off and to do this video, and I've got to literally have to do it in one take, and it's going to be about old school, new school, and my thoughts on it. I'm not going to inflame anybody, I don't think, with any of my opinions. In fact, actually, what I hope it will do is I'd like to think it could be something that people think, you know what, actually that's a very good point. But we'll see. We'll see what the audience make of it. Now, I think if you were to sort of assess me as a GM in terms of nothing more than where do I fit into, am I old school or am I new school, you're going to put me in old school. But there's a slight untruth to that, because am I still playing the games that first brought me into the hobby? No, I gave up on those quite a number of years ago. I still look at them. You know, I still get some enjoyment out of looking at the modules and thinking about various mechanics that were originally used. But that's part of my job. It's part of what I do. But I don't use them. Were they good games? You know, why would I not still be using them? Yeah, they were great games. I look back with great fondness on them, and it's not just rose-tinted glasses. They were games that genuinely left a mark on me, that were fantastic. But we don't use them. Why? Well, the truth of it is, it's a great. You know, this is the thing, isn't it? This is the question really that it comes down to. So I'm just going to pause that question because we're about to come back to it and think why, and then I'm going to throw a slight spanner in it. I'm going to spin it slightly here and think about the more modern player. Now, for those modern players, they're going to face some interesting realities in the near future, because at the moment, you know, let's just talk of them. I know there are loads of games out there, and I'll be doing a disservice, but I'm just going to pick, you know, a couple that are very popular. Yeah, just a couple, and in fact 3 at the moment, and it will soon be. It will still be the same 3, just a different game for one of them. D&D 4th, Pathfinder, and Dark Heresy, by the numbers, are the 3 biggest selling games right now. Everything else is retrospect. It doesn't matter. I'm not dishing anybody's game. That's the fact. Those are the numbers. Now, let's assume that you've got some experience in any one of those 3 games, and it may be a game of choice to you. You know, you might be a modern player, and your game of choice is Pathfinder. Okay, that's great. You know, that's what you like to play, and that's what you've been brought up on. Fantastic. What happens to you in 10 years, 15 years' time? You may recently realise that I asked the question, is Pathfinder getting old? Well, actually, that was a bit of a weighted and a devious question, really, because it's not really Pathfinder's getting old, it's the fact that you are. Now, like I left the question about the past, my group's been on a transition from the beginning of the hobby, and we've played games all the way through. Now, we have played loads of role-playing games, and I do a lot of that anyway in my job. But we played a lot of games. Obviously, one of the favourites all the way through has been D&D. There's been some exceptions. We didn't play a lot of second because we'd already house ruled a lot of stuff from the early basic stuff and the original AD&D. So we had a very good set of rules that we liked, that were perfect for our group at that time. So we didn't really find much in second edition appealing to us at the time. Although I look back now and I think actually there was probably a lot that we would have liked. Third edition came along and that changed everything for us. We went into it lock, stock and barrel. We did try other games. Warhammer was a very big game for us as well. Various other games were very popular for long periods of time. But it's a transition. You sort of, as a group, you evolve, don't you? Now, if you didn't evolve, we'd still be playing first edition or basic D&D, wouldn't we? Because why would we bother to change? And the question is, why don't many people change? Now, there are some people out there in the YouTube world, that love their old edition games, and I'm not for 1 minute knocking it, because I love those old edition games too. I am an old school grognard myself, I'm sure of it, but I don't still play those games. I don't even play really the retro clones. Not that I'm not potentially coming back and doing some, I certainly will be, but I haven't been up to this point. So I suppose the question has been why, and I asked that a little while ago, why? And I had to really think and dig down deep, and I realised that from a personal point of view, I'm one of the rarities. I've been running games constantly, and I've evolved, and my groups have evolved all the way through, and we'll just take it to Pathfinder at this point. So, would any of those players be regarded, even though they know the rules of Pathfinder incredibly well, would they be regarded as new school players? No, because of their outlook. It's purely because of their outlook and the amount of time that they've been playing this wonderful hobby of ours. So I'm afraid to say, for all those people out there who are currently playing Pathfinder saying, and I've heard it said, I love Pathfinder, I'll never change. You have to ask yourself, why would we love a game and never change? Because we are all a little bit cattle and sheep. We all follow, don't we? We all tend to do it. I mean, I look forward to the next iteration of any game with a great fondness. Some work better than others, and nobody wishes D&D next. You know, I hope it really works for them. I have massive reservations, but I really hope it works for them. But what will Paizo do next with their Pathfinder game? You think that they're going to just stick to that? Now, have you noticed the bloating that's going on? There's a pattern, okay? There's a pattern. For anybody that's been around long enough, you know, there's a big pattern here. That pattern's obvious. You know, Pathfinder is already in the works to change. Yeah, you can smell it's in the air, yeah? Though no one's talking about it. They've already begun working out what's going to happen next for their game. What are they going to do with it? Going to streamline it? Going to tighten it up? Going to add more? Take away some? Make it Pathfinder complete? What will they do with it? They're going to do something with it. Now, the question is for all those people, I use Pathfinder as the perfect example here. Will we stay or will we change? You might initially hesitantly scream and rant and I'm never changing. You'll probably find you're like me and a lot of the other sheep, unfortunately. We will change. We just do. It's what we all do. But you will face a truism eventually as well. And it's a fascinating truth. And that is this, that in a few years down the line, people will come to you and they will say, you're an old school player. You used to use maps and miniatures. We don't do that anymore. You know, we use virtual tabletops these days. Our characters are worked out for us. In fact, the stats are already pre-generated. That's exactly what the background is going to be. And you think I'm joking? It's a reality of the future. It's a reality of what will come. Now, you can either stick in the past if you're happy and comfortable and that's what your groups love. Who's to tell you different? I say do that. You know, do. But a lot of you will change. But it won't matter the fact that you change because you will one day be regarded as old school as well. So the debate really shouldn't be, is it old school or is it new school? And what are this and what is that? There's a reason why old school players are protective of their game over others. And that reason is fairly simple to discuss, and I'll quickly touch on it as the end of this video now. It was harder then. You know, you rolled the dice straight down, 3d6 straight down. You build a character based on what you saw. You could come in with a preconceived idea, but if the dice didn't fall for you, you have to change. It was tough. It wasn't all the breaks you get now. You know, you don't have all these layers. Rules were made on the fly. There was no need to interpret a huge book, over 400 pages of a rule book. If you want a bull rush, you just describe what you want to do, and a referee gives you an chance for what it will. Well, I reckon this is what's going to happen. You've got a 12 and 20 chance it's not going to work for you. You need to roll 13 or over, and you either go with it or you don't. And it was a split-second decision the referee would make. But sometimes people would make really good descriptions, and descriptions were as powerful as anything else. And that's one of the biggest fundamental changes between the past and the future right now, the present, I should say. The players in the past are very used to giving finite, very clever details, trying to describe a gap or a clever crack in what the GM's doing, and then go ahead and exploit it. Not in a horrible way, but it's actually to make sure the referee realises what they're up to and says, well done. I'll give you a quick example of that, where a player asked me questions about a chest that I'd really cleverly trapped, and then said, where are the hinges? And I think I've mentioned this in a previous video, and I said, oh, you can see them on the back of the chest. And he said, that is not a problem. I get my fees tool out, I go around the side of the chest, and I unscrew the hinges. And I was like, damn. And I had to do it. I just had to give it, you know, how could I dare change it? And that's old school thinking right there in a nutshell. And it's part of the change, the fundamental change between the players then and the players now. Because people now are more used to just saying, calling out a skill as opposed to actually thinking through the problem. And that's probably the biggest difference between referees of the past and referees now. What that will be like in the future, I can't hazard a guess. But what I can say in closing to this is that for those new school players out there, enjoy it while it lasts. Because eventually, like everything, it will end. And you will also be old school. And you'll have to decide whether you're going to change with the flow of the game or stick in the past. All incarnations of games are equally as valued and are relevant. But at each turn, there will be layers. There's us, who have had to have the hardest of it all. There are those that have had other games that give a lot of layers. And then there'll be the future, where a lot of things will be mapped out straight for you and the best options will be chosen. And it will be a very different era of role-playing that will come. But in essence, it's still the same. It's what you make of it and what your groups want. Anyway, that's been my interpretation of old school and new school as it stands. I hope it's been of some relevance. I look forward to seeing you all soon, in my humble opinion. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.